Welcome to another episode of React Roundup, everybody. I am your host today, Paige Niedringhaus, and we are joined by one of our regular panelists, Jack Harrington.
Hello there.
And our special guest today is Vijit Ail. Welcome, Vijit.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, folks, this is Charles Max Wood from Top End Devs, and lately I've been working on actually building out Top End Devs. If you're interested, you can go to topenddevs.com/podcast, and you can actually hear a little bit more about my story, about why I'm doing what I'm doing with Top End Devs, why I changed it from devchat.tv to Top End Devs. But what I really want to get into is that I have decided that I'm going to build the platform that I always wished I had with devchat.tv, and I renamed it to Top End Devs because I want to give you the resources that are going to help you to build the career that you want, right? So whether you want to be an influencer in tech, whether you want to go and just max out your salary and then go live a lifestyle with your family, your friends, or just traveling the world or whatever, I want to give you the resources that are going to help you do that. We're going to have career and leadership resources in there, and we're going to be giving you content on a regular basis to help you level up and max out your career. So go check it out at topenddevs.com. If you sign up before my birthday, that's December 14th. If you sign up before my birthday, you can get 50% off the lifetime of your subscription. Once again, that's topenddevs.com.
So, Vijit, I know that you have been on React Roundup in the past, but for those of you who have not heard, maybe you could give us a quick intro of who you are, why you're famous, and what we'll be talking about today.
Well, my name is Vijit Ail, and I'm a software engineer from Mumbai, and I work primarily on React and Node.js. And apart from that, I do a bit of technical writing on the internet.
I hear you have a strong interest in Supabase. Works with React, I'm guessing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So Supabase is a cloud platform that allows developers to create backend services for their front-end apps without writing a single line of backend code. So that's how powerful it is. And
very cool.
It is completely open source, and it provides features like auth, database, file storage, and auto-generated APIs just out of the box. So you don't have to do anything of that on your own.
Nice. And is there like a client layer for React that's already built?
Yeah. So Supabase basically has many client libraries for JavaScript, Python, and yeah.
That's excellent. So how would you get started with Supabase if you had like either a Create React app or maybe like a Next.js project? How do you integrate the two together?
So basically, Supabase has a JavaScript client called Supabase.js, and you can just do npm install and initialize the main class and pass your public key. And that's pretty much it. And after that, if you want to get data, if you want to post data, that's all you can do through the library.
Oh, very cool. So is it like a wrapper around an existing database, or is it its own kind of database? What kind of database is it? Like a SQL database, object store?
Yeah. So Supabase leverages Postgres, which is a relational database. Yeah. And what it does is Postgres automatically generates the REST APIs using an extension called Postgres with a T. And so what it does is it introspects your whole schema, like whatever schemas you have made in your Supabase dashboard, it will go through all of them and auto-generate an API for that you can which you can communicate through your front end, basically. And you don't have to write the APIs by yourself manually while calling. You can simply just use the client library.
Very nice.
And it's all TypeScript and strongly typed and all that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like we have some delay.
Yeah. Supabase does not have a TypeScript layer out of the box. It is just plain JavaScript library.
Okay. So you need to like generate some types for it to map to the types that you have in your tables.
Right.
Do you use a tool for that, or just hand do that? Or do you use TypeScript at all?
I do use TypeScript, but it's mostly just you have to build the types yourself. Whatever your API you're calling, you're going to have to check what's the response and then build the type.
Interesting. So does it offer GraphQL support as well?
No, I don't think that it supports GraphQL at this moment. I think it's still experimental, but like they are building it, they're still working on it.
Cool.
Well, that's cool. So I'm also, there's a strong interest out there in auth as well. So is it auth specific to your database? Does it work with other vendors? Like how can it do like Google Auth and all of that?
Yeah. So basically, if you only want to use the auth layer of Supabase, even that you can do. You don't have to even if you don't want to use the database layer or the other functionalities, you can simply just use the auth functionalities right out of the box and pass your Google API keys, and yeah, it just works.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So the whole process of bootstrapping your application is just fast.
Nice. So, how did you get started with Supabase? Like, what initially drew you to it, or was it like a work project, or just something that you were interested in learning?
So the thing is, I found Supabase through just like I actually wanted a cloud database where I can store, because I'm too lazy to set up everything on my local machine. So I was like, let me just search for anything that has cloud support for databases. So yeah, that's where I found Supabase, and which basically has a free tier of 500 MB or something. So that is pretty much enough for any application.
Nice. Are you using it at work, or are you just
No,
messing around on your own?
Right now we don't use it at work. It's basically for my own explorations.
Yeah, sure. I'm just curious, what are you using it for? Like, what are the experimental apps?
Any kind of app that does not require any like backend applications or things. Like, for example, you can make blog applications, and you don't even have to write a single line of backend code for that, because it has auth, it has the APIs, and yeah, it has the database, everything. So you can think of Supabase as a CMS, a sort of CMS, because you don't have to know database knowledge. You don't have to be like a database savvy or something to get started with the APIs. Because like for a non-technical person, the database is just like a spreadsheet. Like you can just update the data in line in the dashboard.
Nice. So one of the blog articles that we'll link to in the show notes about Supabase talks a little bit about something called Supabase Studio. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that is?
So that is the dashboard that is there on the Supabase platform, which you can browse through and check your table collections, create new schemas, right? And you don't have to write any SQL queries for that. You can use the graph, the interface for that. And basically what it will allow you to do is create tables and add new entries to your database. Yeah, that. And even it allows you to access your users' data, right? You can invite other users to your platform directly from your data dashboard.
Awesome. So this kind of stuff, I've always found that like, the kind of gotcha with these, the no writing your own API stuff is around like triggers. Like if I add a particular record to a database, I want things to happen based on that kind of thing. Like, some summation stuff or whatever, some other tables get updated. Can you do that sort of stuff?
Yeah, you can do that with basically Supabase is a PostgreSQL database behind the scenes. So whatever you can do with a PostgreSQL database, that you can do with Supabase. That's the thing. So basically, you can create triggers, right? You can, for example, if you add a new entry in the users table, then some other table can be updated. For example, if the user has verified his email, so that you can set a flag for that.
Cool. And do I use that? Like, do I write that in SQL, or what do I write that in?
Basically, you can write a database function for that, and so it's a database function which resides natively in the database.
Yeah. So I full on write. Like, wow, okay, I haven't done that in a long time.
So basically, you don't have to write an application middle layer for that to update your query.
Yeah, I can see why this is so popular.
So one question that I have is, I've used Firebase a little bit, which I think is Google's version. What benefits, or why would you choose Supabase over Firebase or one of the other options that are out there for kind of cloud backends and cloud databases and such?
So primarily Firebase is not open source. That's the main thing. And apart from that, most of the stuff Supabase has is open source. Like you can self-host it yourself. That functionality you won't get with Firebase. And even the setup of the whole project is a bit easier with Supabase.
Okay.
Good enough for me.
Nice. So outside of like auth and database stuff, what else is in Supabase?
Supabase,
I know you mentioned it early on.
Yeah. So Supabase also has file storage. So under the hood, Supabase uses S3 to upload the data, right? And other than that, we have like Firebase, they have real-time subscription, right? Whenever data update. Yeah.
That's so nice.
There's one thing that Firebase does better than Supabase is offline caching. Firebase has that functionality that it does optimistic update on your UI. But Supabase does not have that out of the box.
I mean, I could definitely see how that would be useful for certain applications, but I bet that there's probably the majority of them where that's not necessarily a deal breaker, in which case Supabase, which is open source, is a big thing. So that's pretty awesome that it's completely open source. So how do they make money?
Who knows? Making money is overrated.
People buy them a coffee. Patreon.
Yes, you can. Yes, definitely fund a big company off of that.
I guess if you're not doing the self-hosted route of Supabase, there's probably some nice things that you can tack on and pay for if you're a big customer or an enterprise level customer.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
Actually, I'm curious about the file storage stuff. So, for if you upload images and stuff, does it also have that cool thing where you can mention them, or have multiple image sizes, or have it do all the compression work for you?
No, I don't think that functionality is there with Supabase. Right, all the optimization you have to do at your side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the Supabase has a cool dashboard for browsing through your files, like how you would browse through your files on your Mac device.
Nice.
Cool.
Hi, this is Charles Max Wood from Top End Devs, and lately I've been coaching some people on starting some podcasts and in some cases just taking their career to the next level. You know, whether you're beginner going to intermediate going to advanced, whether you're trying to get noticed in the community or go freelance, I've been helping these folks figure out how to get in front of people, how to build relationships, and how to build their careers and max out and just go to the next level. So if you're interested in talking to me and having me help you go to the next level, go to topenddevs.com/coaching. I will give you a 1-hour free session where we can figure out what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go, and figure out what the next steps are. And then from there, we can figure out how to get you to the place you want to go. So once again, that's topenddevs.com/coaching.
You're mainly using this on web then? Or are you using for React Native as well? Or
no, currently I'm just exploring it on the web, because on the mobile application, it's still not fully supported. Like some functionalities, like I mentioned, offline storage is not out of the box. So for using it on the mobile web, mobile application, it still has a long way to go, I feel.
Coming soon. So one of the questions, or one of the things that it looks like Supabase has, is edge computing or edge functions. Is that correct?
Right. Cool. So edge functions are basically...
Yeah, give us an example of what edge functions are.
So edge functions are basically TypeScript functions that run on the Dino environment, and they're executed closer to your user, right? Unlike other serverless functions like AWS Lambda, it does not execute on a particular location. Like it will get executed at a server nearer to the user using your application.
I'm guessing that's not an open source thing. That's probably where they're making their money. That kind of support for that.
Yeah.
At scale. So what would you imagine using that for?
So you can use it for sending your email, right? You can create a separate email service to, so for example, if you want, if you have a blog application and you have a subscriber list, right? So for that, you won't have to create a whole different server and then write the code. You can simply just create a new function. And just like any other API, you get the request body, and from that you can simply save it in your database, or you can add in your MailChimp list. Or
that's really cool.
Yeah.
So will Supabase also help me host my application?
No. Supabase currently does not have that. I don't have that support for serving HTML. Right? If you try to serve HTML, it will automatically get changed to a plain text.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So if I want to put this up, basically I'd have my deployed app, and then it would connect using the key then to the Supabase instance.
Right.
And we're not worried about that key leaking?
So the thing with the key is that Supabase offers two keys. One is the public key and the other one is the service key. So the service role key is like a master key to your application, right? So you would want to use that key in a server context. But the public key can be exposed to the client side. But the thing with public key is that the public key can by default has access to all your database, right? So to prevent that, you have to write RLS rules in the database. So these are like authentication rules that you would write natively in the database. So for example, you can avoid an update on a particular table, right, based on the authorization key. Or let's say you can also prevent a user from updating another user's data. So for each one of those, we have certain rules in RLS.
Interesting.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So how, for somebody who is brand new to Supabase and wanted to get started with it, how would you advise that they start to get familiar with it?
Just with creating your own application, just exploring the documents, because the documentation of Supabase is very straightforward. Right? They have like everything you need to get started on the Supabase platform. Right?
Nice. Have you done this? You've been working. I mean, we talked about it earlier with Paige. Create React app versus Next.js. Have you tried it with Next.js? Is it or as well?
Yeah, even with Next.js, it was the same way. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it seems like in terms of your APIs, you might want to actually like proxy them through Next.js to hide that server key.
Yeah, because like if you use the server key in the server context, then in the Next.js it would be not it would be hidden, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's that you got to run a server, which is not often great. There's that.
Well, cool. Is there anything else that you think that people should know about Supabase that we haven't covered yet? So it sounds pretty powerful overall.
Fun fact about Supabase is recently they have announced WASM support. That means you can run a full-fledged Postgres database inside a browser. So that's a whole new thing.
Is that out? Can we look at it today?
Yeah, I think it is out like a couple of weeks back only it was released. So I guess it's still experimental, I feel. Yeah, that's a pretty powerful feature to have. So I think with this, we can even solve that offline storage stuff, right?
Yeah, very cool.
Okay, so I'm kind of lost. Why? Okay, so I just quick looked at that. Like, I'm going to run Postgres in the browser. I'm assuming so is that just for, give me a scenario. Like, why am I going to do that?
So, for example, we do like in the browser currently we have local storage and we have another, I don't remember the name. We have a kind of storage in the browser, right?
Session storage.
Session, and another one we have like a SQL.
Yeah. There's a SQLite database in it. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So in that context, if you want to use something more powerful like Postgres, because it has a lot of relational capabilities, and it can force constraints on your data. So that is one thing powerful. Like if your app has a lot of critical data that you can manage in the browser.
Oh, cool. All right. That sort of makes some sense. Like if I want to do like a Gmail thing, I could literally have like your email inbox in Postgres in WASM.
WASM, right.
Yeah, cool.
WASM is the future.
I'm not sure. I hope. I don't know what that one. I love the things like Stack Blitz out there where, you can run an entire Next.js instance like right in the browser.
Yes.
And I've actually found in some cases it's actually faster to do that because it's running basically out of a RAM disk and it's quick. So it's cool. You could basically run your entire stack in WASM.
Yeah. Speaking of Stack Blitz, did you see the keynote that they did recently at ViewConf for CodeFlow?
No.
So I just learned about it this week, and I think it was maybe a week or two back they announced it. But CodeFlow is this new initiative by Stack Blitz to basically bring VS Code into your browser. So you get the entire VS Code setup with your plugins, your preferred tooling, your everything. And with it, you can take a GitHub repo, plug it into the URL, and it will basically import the repo as if you'd cloned it. You can pull down branches, you can open pull requests, you can look at other people's pull requests, and you never actually have to pull the code locally into VS Code so that you can, play with it, change it, review it, add to it, whatever. It's really, really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something similar on the GitHub side. Like you can hit period on a project and open up an embedded editor.
I think so. It seemed similar, but the thing that was nice, because I've not really use the GitHub version of it is that the code flow thing looks exactly like your VS Code editor that you would use locally on your machine, like to a T. But the thing is, it's all done in the browser, so you don't actually have to check the code out locally, start it up, clone the repo, whatever. It's just all available to you.
That's pretty sweet. Nice.
Yeah. And I know I've just totally derailed the conversation, but I just read about this.
No, it's cool.
Like, this is the coolest thing.
There's so much cool stuff going on. And I get, people always talk about how the future of all of this is like, we'll no longer have our MacBooks or our ThinkPads or whatever. MacBooks is what I've been using forever. And we'll just have, some commodity hardware or whatever. And it's because everything you're going to be doing is just on the web anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I kind of like having how would that feel if I'm on a plane or something like that? I don't know. Probably not great, but maybe.
Yeah.
I guess it's good.
It's not quite there yet. Like a project that I just plugged into CodeFlow to see how it would work actually had its own backend server that was built in. It had a node server that it was using. So it wasn't quite smart enough to figure out that it needed to install all the dependencies for these different folders that were kind of nested within one another. And then I hit some CORS issues almost immediately because even though it's supposed to be localhost 3000, it's like webflow.localhost/something 3000.
Right. Yeah.
So not quite perfect. I couldn't figure out how to get around the CORS errors before I had to actually go on and do work. But once they kind of figure that out, or there's probably documentation that I just didn't look for of how to get around those sorts of things. I think it could be really huge. And like the things that I really see it being beneficial for are PR reviews, because trying to pull down somebody's local code while you're doing something else in the same repo is a pain. And also for our designers and our designers who don't necessarily need to or shouldn't have to run code locally to see what something looks like. If they can just go to GitHub and then open up CodeFlow and be able to see what the actual site looks like, that seems like such a huge win for everybody.
Yeah. I think you should aspire to where your project is set up so that it could be usable this way, right? In your case, you should, if that's a thing, I think it shows a certain amount of code quality. And like, oh, okay, or project setup quality. That's like, it can run anywhere. It can run on your local machine. It can run inside of, Safari, whatever. It's all good.
Exactly.
I don't know. Vijit, what do you think about like this remote coding idea? Does that sound appealing?
I think it's good because like Paige said, like you don't have to set up everything on your local machine. So that saves a lot of time.
Definitely. So Vijit, I don't actually think we talked about what you do for a regular day job. Like what do you do when you're not like working on or playing around with Supabase?
So I'm a software engineer from Mumbai, and I work at a health tech company called Tutsi, which provides a aligner solution in India, across India. So
nice.
Yeah. So we have like a complete JavaScript stack. We have React on the front end and Nest.js on the back end.
And then you write articles about this kind of stuff that you get excited about?
Right. So whatever I come across, like while exploring or at work, whatever new thing I learn, and I just post it on the internet because that's the best way to share your knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally agree.
I recently saw your video on making the context fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new thing I learned. The way you did the whole subscribe thing and getter and servers. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that was a fun one to do.
Jack,
thanks
for
for plugging my
channel. Who have not seen it, would you like to give us a little more information about it?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So every time I talk about state managers and things like Jotai or Sushtan or whatever, people are like, oh, what about context? Do we even need one of those anymore? We have context. And I'm like, oh, okay. Context is great for slow moving things like a theme or the user identification. So that like, if you change it, it's okay if a lot of components re-render because you expect that, right? It's a theme, whatever. Or it's a user ID. They're logging in, they're logging out, right? You expect a big change, right? But there's a new hook that came out with 18, use sync external store, that makes actually using React or using context in a pub sub model where I kind of subscribe to the context so that I don't necessarily get updated when it changes. I only get updated when things that I care about within the context change, it's actually pretty easy. And so the video went over kind of how to do that, and then kind of went a little bit extra into like TypeScript stuff and like how to make it generic. And of course, a lot of the comments I get are like, yeah, but Joe Tai and Sushtan do all this. I'm like, yes, but you just asked for the context. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Anyway. So, can't make everybody happy all the time, but it was a fun experiment. And it was cool. Did you enjoy it, Vijit?
Yeah,
it seems like you got some out of it. Good. Okay. Awesome.
Nice. So Vijit, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about Toothsy, because you said it was a health tech company, but like what exactly, health tech is a very large industry. So what exactly are they helping people to do?
So currently there are like two parallels going on. So currently with Toothsy, there are like two parallels. One is like, we have a parent brand called Mako, under which two brands come in. One is Toothsy and another one is Kinsey. So Toothsy provides all the dental aspects of a person, and the Kinsey aspect is for the skin treatments like dermafacials and laser treatment. And so I primarily work with Toothsy, and so basically we do the whole dental thing. We create plans for the users. From that, whatever suits, they use it.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
nice,
very cool.
And you use React and Node. You use Next, or what's your stack?
Right. So for the whole on the front end we have Next.js, right, and on the back end we use Nest, which is like
awesome.
Attached. Yeah.
Huge fan of Nest.
I haven't heard a lot of people talk about Nest, but it's like Express, correct?
Right. So it is built on top of Express, basically. Right.
Got it.
So the thing with Express is that it has a lot of, like, it allows you, gives you a lot of freedom, like how you want to structure your code. But Nest has a certain way of, organizing your code and dividing it into modules, like something you would do in a Spring Boot application or in Angular, something like that.
It feels a lot like Java.
Right.
It's got a lot of TypeScript, a lot of annotations. It's got a very model view controller feel. Yeah, a lot of wiring. But once you get it going, it's very reliable.
Yeah.
Do that. Very cool.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered that you've been working on or that you'd like to talk about today?
I guess we have covered pretty much.
Nice. Have any new articles that are coming out that we should be excited about?
Currently, yeah. We were just talking about Nest.js, and currently I have an article in progress on creating microservices with Nest.js and Kafka. So that will come out in a month.
Very cool.
Cool. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that then.
Hey, folks, if you love this podcast and would like to support the show, or if you wish you could listen without the sponsorship messages, then you're in luck. We're setting up new premium podcast feeds where you can get all of the episodes released after Christmas 2020 without the ads. Signing up will help us pay for editing and production, and you can go sign up at devchat.tv/premium.
All right. Well, I think that this is the portion of the show where we'll go into picks, and these could be television shows that you're watching. There's been a lot of kitchen products and tech products in the past that we've talked about. So, Jack, would you like to start us off with a pick this week?
Yeah. So my tech pick for the week is going to be that you should read the RFC that came out on Use, which just got released. It's a big deal in the React community, but if you haven't seen it, I would definitely read it. I think it's one of those that's going to change how we do React as much as hooks did. And the new RFC basically makes first class citizens, I guess, out of promises in React. And so on the client side, you can literally just say, import this use. It's a hook, kind of like a hook. It's basically a hook. And then you just point it at a promise. And when the promise resolves, your component gets re-rendered with the new data. You're good to go. So it makes it very, very clean. And then on the server side, it's really cool. You can do like async components and just literally like fetch your data like right inside the component, which is really neat using async await. It's awesome. You can actually try it out today on the client side. I don't think there's any server implementation of it yet though. So can't wait to try it there, but really cool. And if you're a React developer, I think you got to keep up on it.
Good one. So I will go next. My pick for this week, we've actually just talked about in the show, it's going to be CodeFlow. So if you, like I was saying, it's just it's like VS Code, but in a browser. And it's in beta right now. So I think anybody can sign up, go check it out, play with it, see the video of how the creator uses it. So head on over to Stack Blitz and look for code flow and just test it out, because they want all the feedback. They want you to tell them what's good, what's not, what's buggy. But it just seems like such a cool step forward. And I can see so many applications where it would make developers' lives easier. So I'm definitely going to be checking it out myself. And Vijit, do you have anything that you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
So you both have done a tech pick. So I will do a non-tech pick, which would be the House of Dragon shows on HBO. You should definitely check it out. There's a lot of politics going on, and
it's our Sunday night family watch, even though it's not exactly a family show, but when you have kids that are a little older, more like a family. But, the neighbors show up and we kind of, it's a gather around. I love it. We used to do that with Game of Thrones, and now it's great to have it back with House of Dragons. And it's not quite, like I say, like Lord of the Rings just doesn't have that style. Like, it doesn't feel as, the new Lord of the Rings show doesn't feel as I don't know, as.
It's not as gripping.
That much. Yeah, something like that. Thanks for reminding us, though. That is a great show.
Yeah, good suggestion.
Bummer that it's almost done with the season.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a finale remaining.
Wish there were more.
Awesome. Well, great picks. So one last question for you, Vijit. If people want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
They can easily find me on Google, because if you type in just my name, you'd find everything about me. And even on LinkedIn, because my name is quite unique. And I'm just an easy person to find.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and we will see everybody on the next React Roundup.
See you then.
Bandwidth for this segment is provided by CacheFly, the world's fastest CDN. Deliver your content fast with CacheFly. Visit CACHEFLY.com to learn more.